In the last chapter, investigators found the third door inside room 313, a door that wasn't on any blueprints, a door no one ever admitted to building, and a door that began to open all by itself. But what came out of that room? It wasn't Daniel, and it wasn't the first missing man, Arthur Hayes. Not exactly. As the circular lock on the hidden door turned on its own, it creaked open just a single inch. But what lay beyond wasn't another room. It was a corridor stretching into a darkness far deeper than the hotel's physical structure could possibly contain. A chill wind rushed out, carrying a strange industrial smell of wet concrete and old rusting metal. A senior detective, a veteran of 20 years on the force, cautiously stepped forward. He raised his heavy-duty flashlight, pointing its powerful beam into the abyss. But the light seemed to be swallowed by the darkness. It never reached an end. Instead, something moved, right at the very edge of the light's reach. It wasn't moving away from him, it was moving toward him. He instinctively took a step back, his heart pounding in his chest. As he did, the corridor itself seemed to react. It felt as if the walls were breathing, expanding, and contracting in the gloom. The effect was disorienting, nauseating. Then the light in the main hotel hallway began to flicker violently, plunging them into strobing flashes of light and dark. When the power finally stabilized a moment later, the hidden door was closed again. The circular lock was sealed tight, and the senior detective was gone. The remaining officers scrambled, immediately pulling up the security camera footage from the hallway. They had to see what happened. They had to understand. But the footage that played back on the monitor was impossible. It didn't show a door at all. The wall was perfectly solid, just as it had been before they'd torn it open. The video just showed the detective standing completely still in the middle of the hallway, facing that blank wall. Then he tilted his head ever so slightly, as if he was listening intently to something that no one else could hear. His body tensed. He leaned forward, almost unnaturally, as if he were being pulled by an invisible force. And that's when the video feed glitched. For one single, terrifying frame, just one frame, frozen in time, the camera captured a hand gripping the detective's shoulder from behind. It was long, impossibly thin. The fingers were bent at angles that were just wrong. Then the glitch ended, and he was simply gone. Vanished between one frame and the next. The team looked at the time stamp in the corner of the screen. It read 3:12 a.m., always 3:12. A forensics team was sent to the missing detective's home, but it was his locker at the precinct that held the real clue. Inside, they found only a single item, a standard-issue police notebook, but its contents were anything but standard. Every single page was filled with frantic, obsessive sketches, all depicting the exact same thing: a long, dark hallway with no visible end. In the center of every drawing stood a tall, slender, faceless figure. And behind that figure, the darkness was filled with other shapes. Silhouettes, not one, not two, dozens. Some were small, almost childlike. Others were twisted into grotesque, unnatural forms. Some appeared to have multiple limbs, all reaching out from the shadows, all reaching toward the viewer. On the very last page of the notebook, scribbled with so much force that the pen had torn through the paper, the detective had written a final, chilling message. They're not trapped. They're waiting. 2 nights later, the mystery deepened. A hotel guest staying on the 3rd floor, just down the hall from the sealed-off room 313, made a frantic call to the front desk. She was whispering, terrified, claiming she saw a man standing right outside her door, just staring at the wood. An older man, she said, who looked completely lost and was wearing old-fashioned, dated clothing. The night manager, thinking it was just a confused guest, rushed upstairs. But the man was still there. He was muttering to himself, his body shaking uncontrollably. He kept repeating the same phrase over and over. It closed, it closed, it closed. The manager felt a jolt of recognition. He'd seen that face before in an old newspaper photograph from the original investigation files. It was Arthur Hayes, the man who had vanished from room 313 all those years ago. He was back. But 18 hours later, he was gone again, disappearing from a secure police holding room. Before he vanished for the second time, he said one more thing, a cryptic warning whispered to a guard. They don't want him anymore. The guard, confused, asked who him was. Arthur Hayes looked at him with empty eyes and whispered a single name, Daniel. That same night, at exactly 2:58 a.m., the main elevator for the 3rd floor wing began operating on its own. It traveled up to the 3rd floor, the doors opened, then closed, and it went back down to the lobby, then up again, down again, over and over, a ghostly mechanical rhythm in the dead of night. It never stopped, not until the clock hit precisely 3:12 a.m. At that exact moment, it halted at the 3rd floor. The doors slid open. No one was inside. But the carpet inside the elevator car was soaked. And leading out from the elevator were 3 distinct sets of barefoot footprints, leaving wet tracks on the hallway carpet. The trail led directly to the wall where the hidden door had been found and resealed. The footprints paused there, as if paying their respects. Then they turned around and the tracks led right back into the empty elevator car. There were no bodies, no heat signatures on thermal cameras, no logical explanation. Only one thing was left behind. But on the fogged-up surface of the elevator's large mirror, a simple phrase had been written, as if by a finger dragging through the condensation, "Stop opening doors." Despite the warnings, the police couldn't leave a potential gateway to somewhere in the wall of a hotel. A maintenance crew was ordered to permanently seal the opening, this time with concrete and steel rebar. They were to entomb it completely, but the moment the first hammer struck the plaster of the freshly patched wall, a voice whispered from the other side. A dry, rustling sound that every worker heard, clear as day. "It won't stay shut." The voice was a horrifying chorus. It didn't belong to Daniel, or Arthur, or the missing detective. It sounded like all 3 of them, and more, all speaking at the exact same time. As the workers stood frozen in terror, the wall in front of them began to bulge outward, stretching the plaster as if something massive on the other side was pressing its face against it. The imprint that formed was unmistakable, a human face. Then another appeared beside it, and another. Soon there were dozens, their features pressing through the wall like a death mask, all silent, all waiting, all watching them. The hotel is sealed off now. The city condemned the building. No more guests, no more staff, no more investigators are allowed inside. But the story doesn't end there. Locals who live in the area report strange happenings, lights flickering on and off at all hours of the night, figures they see walking past the windows on the third floor, silhouetted against the dark. And sometimes, if you stand on the street below in the dead of night, you can hear it at exactly 3:12 a.m., a faint tapping sound coming from inside the walls of room 313. So what is really inside that room? A parallel space, a pocket of broken reality, or a passageway that was never meant to be found by human hands? And the most haunting question of all remains: if Arthur Hayes came back, even for a short time, where is Daniel now? If you want to find out what happens when the tapping finally breaks through, ask for Part 7. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more unexplained mysteries.